Hello, this is Mixer's Pie. This is part 16 of my parents will do this, which you get to talk about the start off with the letter P. Going to start off with the Palace Scouts from the Zookeeper's Park. Well, this was a highly requested cat for the game, but I think it's an okay choice since while this species is notable for looking a bit grumpy, it's more of an occasional sighting in captivity. Would have preferred it if the more prominent cats in captivity, such as the Serval, the rest of Dossalts was in this DLC, especially since there's nowhere literally any zoo animal could fit into. As it stands, the Palace Cat is my least favorite type from the Zookeeper's Pack. Just like most cats of the game, their face is cartoonish, and the model isn't as fluffy as its real counterpart tends to be. It's easy to put in the mediocre category, and I'm going to put it, I think down here. Yeah, I think this do. Up next is the Pierre David deal, which is the last half of the Asia pack for me to talk about. Why does the Pierre David is meant to be the last half of the Summer Super that starts with the letter B because it has a special first T. However, I'm going to talk about it now. That's like this is just has a regular first T. This is a noteworthy animal in the game since it's the only one that's currently extinct in the wild. It also has a decent representation of captivity, which you tend to usually see it in safari parks. Like I said when I talked about the European fallow deer, I'm not that big into most deer, which does include the Pierre deer. However, I will say that it's one of the better deer in the game since the model was pretty accurate to its early counterpart, so it's going to higher part of the great category. So, and it's go. I think, yeah, will do. Next up is the plain zebra, which is an obvious choice of the games. It's another highly iconic African animal. It is a spawn site in captivity. This is another one of the better basic animals to be. It's surprisingly accurate to its real-life counterparts. Unless people have issues with the plain zebra, such as the animations being inaccurate, its nasal course, and lax variation of stripes. However, most of these issues don't bother me personally, but the only one that does being the lack of stripe variation, since the species is meant to have different stripes depending on the individual and which subspecies they are. As it stands, the model mainly resembles the ground zebra, which is the smallest subspecies of plains. It's the most commonly catch on captivity, and this leads me to put it in the greats category. And it'll go. I think here. Up next is the platypus of the Wetsons pack. I've awaited this as a controversial opinion, but I think the platypus is an okay choice. While it is an iconic Australian animal that was highly requested for the game, it's a very rare sight in captivity, with the only place it keeps is outside of Australia being San Diego Safari Park in the USA. So it's also controversial is the first one. I think the model is okay, since the model is darker than what platypus usually are, and it's not as close on its deep diving, which we feel the teardrop markings. However, we'll still put in the great category for how unique it is, and I do think that's the animations for the most part are great. But this would actually have to be one of my least favorite songs in Wonderful Lessons pack. And to put it, I mean, it's a monotrine, so that's a rarity. I guess similar to the jar. It's more unique. I guess here we'll do. Next up is the polar bear of the Arctic pack. This is an obvious choice for this jersey since polar bears are the top birds of the Arctic, and it's one of the small amount of Arctic owls and bears that are common in zoos. Out of all the bears in the game, this would actually have to be my favourite one, as it's pretty accurate to how it looks in the wild. Although that's a lot of people take issue with how space demanding it is, but concerning this is an owl that easily develops stereotypical behavior if you don't give it enough space. I do think it makes sense that since space requirements are this huge. I'm also aware that this is another animal that's dependent on snow, but since the model only resembles how polar bears would look like in a snowy environment, it look weird in other environments in the game. However, I will still say that it would be nice if it had more colour variations to resemble how polar bears was looking. Environments, especially captivity. So it's also going in the great category. So I think it will do. Up next is the proboscis monkey of the Southeast Asia pack. This is another baffling choice in the game. This is an animal that isn't present in captivity outside of Asia, since it would only eat plants that are native to Borneo, near it's native to. I would have definitely preferred it if the Southeast Asia pack had a species of gibbon, the Sulawesi crested macaque, or even the Java black, or any other species of langur. It also doesn't have that the proboscis monkey is probably the worst monkey to me, mainly because I think it looks ugly with its big nose. However, I can't put it in the crap category, even the bat. Since the ball is okay, and it does get to stand out for being the only primate in the game that has take tags, so I'm going to put it at the Joker category, as it's better than the black border piece. So there we go. Next up is the pronghorn. This is a very weird choice since well, it is another unique mammal. It isn't another with that many people outside of This is another would think that not many people outside of North America have heard of. It's also known that there's a British characters outside of North America, and even then, not as many zoos keep it. What isn't known that they care that much about? I would still say it's one of the better base game animals, even if it could be dark in coloration. As it sounds, what I do think the model's pretty good. So it's going to the higher parts of the great category. I think here. So that's another row. Yeah, there we go. Up next is the Przewalski's horse of the conservation pack. This is a great choice for the DLCs. It's just the only wild horse left, and it was an that was close to being extinct. So, but thanks to being progress in Europe, it was successfully reintroduced to the wilds. It's also pretty cool in captivity. Well, this is a controversial thing, but out of all the records in the game, this would have to be my least favorite one. Since I think its action could be improved upon, and I think it could do with some color variations. However, it still goes fit in the great category since it's the only horse in the game, and it's a notable animal in conservation history. And it's... yeah. Here... I think here will do. Next up is the puff adder. This is another snake choice that's not so far. It's what is amongst the most dangerous snakes in Africa. It isn't as common in captivity, and there are far more problem snakes in captivity else. Out of all the snakes in the game, this would have to be the worst one. It looks nothing like an actual puff adder. It just ends up looking like a different species entirely. This is going in the crack. It's worse than the common death adder. I guess it's... I think the glove birding is going to be even worse. Finally, for this part, is the Pygmy Hippo of the Deluxe Edition. This is probably the best choice of the Deluxe Edition I've had today, since while the base game already has the common hippo, the Pygmy Hippo manages to so it's now a small one-on count. So plenty of different ways, and it's still in coinciding captivity. So the three deluxe animals, this would have to be my least favorite one. I'm not sure if there's usually since in the game. I is having the tropical tiger since the grass and tiger is more solitary in the common. It pretty much is a smaller version of the common hippo since it doesn't say land. It's water rich as the common hippo, even though it spends more time on land than it does in the water. This leads me to put in the mediocre count. And so I think that was on not being on the side. So there it goes. So for the next part, so literally just goes for to talk about, which is the quokka. So we'll have mixed.